Is this thing on? Hello? Is this thing on? Oh. Okay. Yeah, I guess it is because the red light's on. Well. Let's see. It's quarantine day number 256. I think my name's The King Games 98? Maybe? I don't know what day it is. And worst of all, I can't find my Game Boy. Like, all I wanted to do was play my Game Boy, right? Look, we got Mother 1 plus 2, Mother 3. Look, I usually keep my Game Boy in my little drawer here. There's most of my Game Boy game collection. But what's that? That's not my Game Boy. Wonderswan. The fuck is a Wonderswan? Yeah, look, and there's two of them. Oh, and apparently this is a Wonderswan Color. Okay, so that was in my drawer where I usually keep my Game Boy, and that's definitely not a Game Boy last time I checked. Well, since I have them and can't find where my Game Boy got to be able to play my games, I guess I'll do a video reviewing and talking about the Bandai Wonderswan and Bandai Wonderswan Color for me and the 10 people who know what it is. Okay, guys, what's up? What's happening? You got the King of Games 98 here? Maybe? And for today's video, as the people on Twitter demanded, or so really wanted, by that poll that I made on that tweet earlier this week, here is my Bandai Wonderswan / Wonderswan Color review video. Okay, so right off the bat, if you never heard of the Bandai Wonderswan, I'm not really surprised at all, because the Bandai Wonderswan was only made in Japan. Yeah, this specific handheld video game system, it never made an appearance, let alone was released in North America or the States, whichever you want to call it. Yeah, this handheld was only made in Japan, so quite frankly, if you never heard of it, I'm not really surprised by that. So, first off, I'm going to go through some information about both handhelds. In my notebook here, I took down some information, tech specs and whatnot about both. And then I even wrote down some history and some accessories that were made for this. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. The Bandai Wonderswan, which is the one on the left here, you see, was released on March 4th, 1999. As I previously said, it was only released in Japan. And the retail price for it was 4,800 yen, which is the equivalent of roughly $44.11 US dollars. So that thing retailed new for about $44. Wow, that is cheap. This console's lifespan was from 1999 to 2004, when it was discontinued in 2003. Now, don't quote me on those years, because that's all I could find for the lifespan year-wise, but that kind of doesn't make too much sense that it was active from 1999 to 2004 when it got discontinued in 2003, unless games were still being produced for it in 2004, which I highly doubt it, but it may be a possibility. So the Bandai Wonderswan's CPU is an NEC V30MZ. The Wonderswan's memory is 512 kilobytes, which is 64 kilobytes of RAM. The sound is 4 PCM channels. And to power that little guy of a handheld, it only runs off of one AA battery, which still to this day amazes me, and I absolutely love that. It's one of the many reasons why I love the Wonderswan handheld. It only runs off of one AA battery. That's crazy. And the craziest part is the original Wonderswan model on a single AA battery could last you 40 hours. Think about that. One AA battery on a single handheld running for 40 hours continuous gameplay. That is amazing. Off of a single AA battery. Absolutely amazing. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Where was I? Oh, yes. Okay. So to power the Wonderswan, it runs off of one AA battery, and off of a single AA battery, it lasts 40 hours. Crazy. The console is powered by a 16-bit central processing unit, and at retail, you could buy the original Wonderswan model in these following colors: pearl white, skeleton green. Oh, okay. So, real quick, when Bandai came out with the different colors of Wonderswan, they called the see-through models skeleton, and then whatever color it was. So when I just said skeleton green, basically it just meant it was see-through green. So pearl white, skeleton green, silver, skeleton red, blue, skeleton black, which is what mine is. Skeleton. That's the skeleton black. Excuse me, Bandai Wonderswan handheld. So skeleton black, camouflage, and gold. Alright, so that was all the tech specs and information I have on the Bandai Wonderswan. So real quickly, I'm gonna show you guys. So this is obviously the front of it. Now, what I found interesting about the Bandai Wonderswan is the button layout of the handheld. What's interesting about the button layout is that you can actually hold this handheld like this, or you can actually hold it vertically like that, and yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It kind of seemed like that Bandai looked at Atari's Lynx handheld and copied the idea from that, because if you've seen the Atari Lynx before, they basically have the same, well, not exactly the same button layout, but they have buttons, along the side here for you to hold the handheld like that, but then they also have buttons along the left-hand side, so for you to hold the handheld vertically while you're playing a game, like so. These clicky responsive buttons. Okay, so this is obviously the front of it. Side. I believe that is an expansion port for... I think a couple accessories use that, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so side. Back. I think it's pretty cool with the whole skeleton black color. You can just see right through it, and there's obviously the main motherboard. There's a processor right there. You can see some chips on it. You got ribbon cable. Obviously, Bandai, copyright Bandai, 1998. And this is the battery compartment, because as you can see, like I said, it runs off of one single AA battery, and I think how you remove and put the compartment back on is pretty cool. So this right here is a little lever. I don't know. Oh, there you go. That's a lot better. You can see that now real clearly. So you push down on that lever, like so, and then the plastic battery housing just slips right out. I really freaking love that design feature of this specific handheld, because I really can't think of another handheld video game system that does that or even comes close to that. So props to Bandai. That was really cool of them to make the Wonderswan like that. And then, you can see the inside. There's the one battery contact. There's the other battery contact. And then you can see some more see-through inside of the motherboard. Pretty cool stuff. And then, so, just for poops and giggles, let's show you guys. So you would pop a battery in, like so. It would go right in there. Fits perfectly. Doesn't wobble right out either, or fall out. Great design feature. And so you would just slide it right back in. And you would just slide it right back into place like so. It would stay like that. It's very tight. It's not loose at all, and it wouldn't fall right out. And yeah, that's oh, I'm sorry. So I forgot to show the other side. The other side, this right here is the main power on-off switch. So since I popped the battery in for you guys to show you how to put it in, I'll turn it on for you. So the Bandai Wonderswan original model, which is this, like the original DMG model Game Boy, it has a, I believe it's called monochromatic screen. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But essentially, it's a black and white colored screen. And that's why, it's kind of got that puke, barf, green color looking screen like the original DMG model Game Boy. Which is nothing wrong with that. But, games on the original Wonderswan will only play in black and white. So, just so you know, if you ever decide to buy one. Okay, let's take the battery out of that guy. Okay. Am I forgetting to say anything that I wrote down about the original model Bandai Wonderswan? Oh, okay. Yeah, here's something that I know I believe I didn't say yet. So, I said the original yen value retail price, and then what that is, excuse me, the yen to US American dollar equivalent. But I didn't tell you guys yet what I paid for it. So for my original skeleton black model, Bandai Wonderswan, I only paid like 20 or 25 bucks for it off of eBay. Used, too, mind you. Yeah. The original model Bandai Wonderswans are that cheap, and they're pretty accessible to find and buy, especially on eBay of all places. So yeah, with that being said, you could really buy any color Bandai, any color original Bandai Wonderswan model, and I gotta be honest with you, you would probably expect to pay around the $20, maybe $25 range. Other than that, the only other thing I can think of as to why you would pay more than 20, 25 bucks for an original model Bandai Wonderswan is if it happened to be a limited edition. Because I do know that Bandai did make a number of limited edition model Wonderswans and Wonderswan Colors. Hell, they might have even made limited edition models of the Swan Crystal. I don't even know if they did off the top of my head yet. But yeah, that's the only instance I could see where you would pay more than like 20, 25 bucks for an original model Bandai Wonderswan. Okay, so that was the Bandai Wonderswan we talked about. Now, let's talk about the Bandai Wonderswan Color. And let me show you both models of the Bandai Wonderswan Color that I own. Yeah. So, the Bandai Wonderswan Color on the left side, where my finger is pointing, is just a regular, plain old, black model Bandai Wonderswan Color. The Bandai Wonderswan Color on the right side, though, where my right hand finger is pointing, that's actually a limited edition. This is the Final Fantasy limited edition Bandai Wonderswan Color, and that's why it's in white. And I believe that silhouette is supposed to be Golbez, I think. Is it? No. Excuse me. I don't really know my Final Fantasy facts and characters all that good. No, I don't think that's Golbez. I think that's supposed to be Cecil from Final Fantasy IV. Yeah, because he's the Dark Knight dude, and that silhouette looks like Cecil. Yeah. So this is actually a limited edition Final Fantasy. It might even be Final Fantasy IV limited edition Bandai Wonderswan Color. And it's just really cool, and it's a badass limited edition of a handheld, that's for sure. But unfortunately, that one does not work, but that one does. Oh well. Unfortunately, when I bought that one off of eBay, I did not read the listing properly because it came directly from Japan, and I don't think the person selling it knew exactly proper English, and I don't either think they said in the listing that it was broken and didn't work, or forgot to say it. Oh well. Regardless, I think it's still a cool piece in my gaming collection. Okay, so now let's talk about tech specs of the Bandai Wonderswan Color. So the Bandai Wonderswan Color was released on December 9th, 2000, again, only in Japan. The original retail price for the Wonderswan Color was 6,800 yen, which is the equivalent to roughly $62.49 US dollars. So now keep in mind, the original model Wonderswan was roughly $44, and then they come out with the Wonderswan Color, and it's roughly 62 US dollars. So for only 20 bucks more, you could essentially buy an upgraded handheld version of the Wonderswan, but in color. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, because that's really all the Wonderswan Color does. Like the Game Boy Color, it just plays games in color. So yeah, for only 20 bucks more, you could buy a Wonderswan Color and then play games in color. For 20 bucks, that's really, I'd say, a heck of a deal. Again, the lifespan of the console was from 1999 to 2004, and it was discontinued in 2003. And I believe why it was discontinued in 2003, or excuse me, not why. I believe in 2003, Bandai, because there was 3 different models of the Wonderswan. The Wonderswan Color, and the Swan Crystal. I believe when the Wonderswan line of handhelds was discontinued in 2003, that would have been around the time of the Swan Crystal, because I believe the Swan Crystal came out a year or two before 2003, so like say 2001, 2002. Don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so the CPU is the same as the Wonderswan, the NEC V30MZ. The memory is the same as the original model Wonderswan, 512 kilobytes, which is 64 kilobytes of RAM. The sound is the same, 4 PCM channels. And the battery, how it's powered, is the same. It still runs off of one AA battery, again, right there, and it's got the same little, wait, does it? Yes, it has the same little push down on the door release mechanism to put a battery in it, which I love. I think that's great. So this, like the original model Wonderswan, runs off of one AA battery. Only problem is you don't get as much playtime as you did on the original model Wonderswan with the Swan Color. Instead, on the Wonderswan Color, on one AA battery on a Wonderswan Color will last you 20 hours of continuous gameplay. So the original model Wonderswan was 40 hours, this Wonderswan Color is 20 hours. So, I mean, you're still getting a lot of bang for your buck and time and continuous gameplay on a 1 AA battery, but essentially it's half the time as the original model Wonderswan. So if you go to buy a Wonderswan or a Wonderswan Color, keep that in mind. Now, the Wonderswan Color was released in the following colors: Pearl Blue, Pearl Pink, Crystal Black, which is that model of Wonderswan Color that I own, Crystal Blue, and Crystal Orange. And those are the mainline colors that the Wonderswan Color was available in. That is not including limited editions of the Wonderswan Color, like the Final Fantasy 1 or Final Fantasy 4. I'm not sure. I think it actually is a Final Fantasy 4 limited edition one, because why else would it have the outline of Cecil at the top left-hand corner of the screen? Yes, that's not including limited edition versions of the Wonderswan Color. But, regardless, you still had a number of different colors the Wonderswan Color came in to choose from. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to show you guys up close basically just what a Wonderswan Color looks like. So this is obviously the front of it. If you were to compare it to the original model Wonderswan, it's basically the same, screen-wise, button layout-wise, with one exception, and that one exception is that the power button is now here instead of on the left-hand side, and actually, the power button on the original model Wonderswan, it's not even a button, it was actually a power switch. So it went from being a power switch to a power button, which is right on the main faceplate below the screen of the Wonderswan Color. So that's really the only difference, shape-wise, between the Wonderswan Color and the Wonderswan. So we have the front faceplate, we have the right side, and again, this little expansion port there is the same as on the Wonderswan. Then we come to the back. Now, I really got to compliment Bandai again. I like for how on the Wonderswan handheld, no matter what color of the Wonderswan Color you bought, of the ones I just named off, they always came like this, two-tone. So it was like the front faceplate would be a solid color, but it would still be like see-through. And then the back faceplate would be clear see-through, so you could completely see through the plastic housing and, right to the motherboard. And I absolutely love that feature of the Wonderswan Color. I think that's really cool. And again, I gotta hand it to Bandai. I think that was just really cool of them to make it like that. That's the little AA battery compartment. Again, I showed you that. You push down on the lever, the thing releases, it comes out, pop a battery in, and then you just slide it back in. So that's the back. Then we come to the left-hand side. And on the left-hand side, what is that? That is a contrast switch. So just like on the Game Boy Color, it's just a little slider thing. You slide up or you slide down to adjust the contrast of the screen. So that's the left-hand side. That's the top. Yeah, that's pretty much everything on the Wonderswan Color. And what is that switch? Oh, that's a lock-on switch. Gotta be honest with you guys, I'm not quite entirely sure what that switch is for, but all it says is... okay. So that switch is a locking mechanism to hold the battery compartment in place when it has a battery in it and is being used. That is really smart. Okay. Yeah, so that's what a Bandai Wonderswan Color looks like. I'll real quickly show my Final Fantasy IV limited edition one. So there's the front faceplate. Right side, back, bottom, left side, and top. I think why I really like the Final Fantasy IV limited edition Bandai Wonderswan Color is because it's white. and it's just really different looking for a handheld video, game system to be in white, because you really don't see that a lot. So I think that's why I really like it. Okay, guys, so now I'm going to go over some history of the Wonderswan that I wrote down and talk about some of the odd accessories this handheld had for it. So, here's a little history on the Wonderswan. Now, I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name. Gunpei Yokai created the Game Boy for Nintendo. After the failure of the Virtual Boy, which I actually own, however, he left the company in 1996 in order to create his own engineering firm, Koto Laboratory. It was then that Bandai approached Yokai to create the Wonderswan to compete with the Game Boy. Yokai was involved in development of the new handheld, but died in 1997 in a car accident before it was released. So, very sad and tragically, Gunpei Yokai, the creator of Bandai's Wonderswan, died before the handheld was even released, because he died in 1997 and the original model Wonderswan was released in 1999. Very sad and tragic. Okay, so now this I thought was a very interesting fact, and I knew I had to write this down and say this in my video. Named Wonderswan to, quote, highlight its aesthetics and technical capabilities because the swan is recognized as an elegant bird with powerful legs that aid its graceful swimming. How about that? That's why it's named Bandai Wonderswan. And last bit of trivia, last bit of history that I've written down in my notebook is, in the year 2000, Bandai signed an agreement with Mattel, yes, the toy company, Mattel, Hot Wheels, yeah, to bring the handheld to North America, but it never happened. Why? Maybe due to the fact that there was a crowded handheld video game console market at the time. There is no definitive answer as to why Mattel never brought the Bandai Wonderswan to the US that I could find. That was the only legitimate answer, if you want to call it that I could find on it. Okay, so without further ado, I now am up to the part that I wrote down different accessories that were made for the Wonderswan. So the first accessory I wrote down is called the Wonder Witch. Yes, that is what it's called. And it was a software development kit to allow games to be developed in C programming language. That's pretty cool. Now, the next accessory, which I think is kind of obvious. Now, if you recall, when I showed everyone, what a Wonderswan Color looks like, you didn't happen to notice a headphone jack on it, did you? No. That's because none of them came with a headphone jack, and so one accessory that was made for it was a headphone jack adapter. Another accessory that was made for it was called the Wonderborg, which was a remote-controlled robot that was controlled using a Wonderswan. That's pretty freaking cool. I can't think of or name another handheld that lets you control a robot. The next accessory I have written down is the Wonder Wave, like the name of that, which was an adapter that could connect to a pocket station, which, if you don't know what a pocket station was, it was a memory card peripheral for the PlayStation 1. That's pretty damn cool, because it was basically that attachment let you interconnect between a handheld and a video game console that were made by two completely different companies. That I find very cool. And last but not least, now I'm just going to say this right out. I don't know how this was able to, but apparently the Wonderswan was capable of connecting to the internet via a mobile phone network. I don't physically know how that is possible, because it didn't I couldn't find anywhere online if it used some type of attachment or adapter, like a LAN adapter, something that would allow you to connect to the internet, but apparently you could on a Bandai Wonderswan. that also kind of baffles my mind to this day, but I still find pretty cool and fascinating. Now, it has come to, we're now at this point in the video where I would like to discuss what competition this specific handheld had back in 1999 and 2000. So, try to think, what other handhelds were around in those exact years, time frame. Well, in 1998, you had the Game Boy Color by Nintendo. So, right off the bat, because the Wonderswan came out in 1999. So, right off the bat, Nintendo came out with the Game Boy Color in 98. 1 year later, Bandai released the Wonderswan, and the original model Wonderswan was only a monochromatic handheld that displayed only in black and white, when its rival competitor Nintendo at the time, with the Game Boy Color, it played original Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games in color. So that right off the bat was a huge competition for Bandai's Wonderswan. So now we're going to put that guy aside, and now we're going to talk about another handheld that it was in direct competition with, and that is SNK's Neo Geo Pocket Color. Now, I don't expect a lot of you to know that handheld, but if you are curious about it, I did a whole review video on that handheld too, which I will link at the end of this video, because that is kind of a weird oddball handheld, and this is a weird oddball handheld, so you know what? It kind of works. So, SNK's Neo Geo Pocket Color came out in, I want to say, 1999 or the year 2000. I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me on that. So again, the Bandai Wonderswan and the Wonderswan Color had direct competition against SNK's Neo Geo Pocket Color, because the Neo Geo Pocket Color would play Neo Geo Pocket and, of course, Neo Geo Pocket Color games in color again. So, I'm not sure exactly what year the Neo Geo Pocket Color came out, but depending on what year it came out, if it was competing with the Wonderswan, it was kind of screwed, because this plays games in color, that doesn't. If it was at least competing against the Wonderswan Color, then I would say, okay, it's a little bit more of a fair competition, but, still, it was pretty, it was still a pretty stiff competition for, handhelds in Japan, at least at that time, back, say 1999, early 2000s. So yeah, these were both major rivals to Bandai's Wonderswan. And unfortunately, at the time of this video, I only own one Wonderswan game, and that would be Final Fantasy 1 for Wonderswan Color. Yes, this is actually a Wonderswan Color game. There's differences between the Wonderswan Color and Wonderswan games. The Wonderswan Color games, as you can see, were in a clear see-through housing. Original Wonderswan games were in a solid black color plastic housing. You could not see through them like this. And without further ado, I am going to pop this in my Wonderswan Color and show you guys some gameplay. And that's going to do it for this video. Okay guys, thank you for waiting. Got my Final Fantasy game in, got my battery in, and let's go. Okay, well, I'm sorry ladies and gentlemen. For whatever reason, I could not get my Bandai Wonderswan Color to turn on that I knew worked, and so I can't show you guys the game, my Final Fantasy game, running and playing on it to show you guys gameplay. I am terribly sorry about that. I have no idea what's wrong with it and why it's not turning on, but it's not. Okay, well, that wasn't exactly how I wanted to end this little video game console review overlook video, but oh well, that's how it's going to get ended. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching and supporting my channel. I am officially at 103 subscribers. Woo! I love that. Thank you very much for subscribing. And let me know in the comment section down below, did you own a Bandai Wonderswan or Wonderswan Color? If so, what did you think about it? I love to hear you guys' comments in the comment section down below. Thanks guys, and see you next time.